It is. Welcome to Harbor TV. This breaking news, it unfortunately has happened again. Terrible, terrible, terrible event happening that many of you don't know about. Pardon my messy room behind me. Terrible, terrible event that many of you don't know about came about 3 weeks ago or so on a Friday night. The Harbor youth pastor, Travis Brock, as noted myself, was going to a football game with his family and friends. Actually, it was the school that his mom went to when she was in high school. She was actually captain of the cheerleader team. What? You should have her do the cheer for you sometime. Just saying. It's pretty cool. And so while they were going to this football game, it was a very peaceful night. It was a tad chilly outside. The music was a tad loud, but it was fun. And so they're walking up the stands, Travis with his family and friends, walking up the stands to sit down to the game. And you know how those stands have like some pretty stinking big stairs. And so it can be somewhat slippery, somewhat difficult at times. And especially if you haven't been working out enough and have been eating too many Krispy Kremes. My last video, I said I was going to work out more and I was going to do better with my diet. It's been a very, 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 very slow progression. But anyway, back to the story. So I'm walking up the bleachers. I step down onto the next seat where the footing is, and rip. It has happened again. I have ripped my pants again. Huge rip right down the crotch area, and undergarments showing, not a pretty sight. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I done to you, Lord? My favorite Walmart jeans. And it was just a depressing thing. And I ended up telling Caleb's dad, Shane, I was like, oh my gosh, and Cassidy and Kenny was there and some of the others. Like, I just ripped my pants. And they started cracking up. And of course, I showed Shane the rip. And of course, they start going crazy. And then like everybody in the surrounding 5-mile radius knows that I ripped my pants. And so it was a very, 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 very traumatizing incident. And so thankfully, I didn't know what I was going to do. It was a chilly night. I was getting a little breeze, if you know what I'm saying, which is not comfortable on such a cold night. But I was getting that little breeze, and thankfully, Caleb's mom, Tabitha, had an OU blanket, okay? And so I just put the OU blanket on my lap, and so, you know, it was warm, it was a cold night, and so it didn't even look like anything was bad, and so that was cool. But then when I would stand up, I would like tie it around me like a skirt, and it was bad because the flack they gave me, they made fun of me, it never ended. And so anyway, the night progresses, we lose the football game, and so we're walking home, and I've got this thing around me, and we get home, and I'm like, let's go to On Cue. And so I go to On Cue, and because I really want a Dr. Pepper, you know me, back to that whole weight thing that maybe I shouldn't be drinking Dr. Pepper because I ripped my pants, but obviously that didn't happen. So I went to drink the Dr. Pepper, but I felt so stupid, and I think they felt stupid too, because I went into Anki with this blanket wrapped around me, and there were actually 2 cops outside. I didn't know if they'd be like thinking something sketchy was going on or something like that. And so we go back to Cassie's house, hang out for a while, and then we're like, let's go to Bobo's. So I don't know if any of y'all have ever been to Bobo's Chicken before, but man, this night is a theme of ripping my Walmart jeans, getting Dr. Pepper, and then getting Bobo's. But so we go to Bobo's, which is kind of over there on the ghetto sketch kind of ish side of town on 23rd and MLK, and we go like midnight or something like that, or yeah, something like that. And so I have Shane, which is Caleb's dad, and Kenny with me. And so we go up to Bobo's. This big old black guy. He's an awesome guy. Nobody would want to mess with him though. And he's just basically has a chicken truck on the side of the road over there, and there's police helicopters flying above, cars rushing down the street. There's a security guard at the chicken truck, as I like to call it. And so it's just a fun experience. Don't go without adult supervision, please. Well, we go there, and again, I have the blanket wrapped around me. because I don't want to show the world my undergarments, and so I'm covering myself, but I feel so stupid, and so I go up to order my chicken, and has anybody ever seen the soup Nazi on Seinfeld? He's like, "No soup for you." Basically, he's a Nazi, and you have to be perfectly behaved or you won't get soup from him. So it's kind of like this at Bobo's, and so I went up and I ordered my chicken, and so I start to walk up, and for some reason, as I'm starting to walk up to the chicken truck, he says, "Hey, you back away!" I was like, "Yes, sir, yes, sir." And so I just backed right away and just waited, and I got to thinking about it, and they were laughing about it. They think, and you can ask Kenny this, he was my witness, they think maybe I was packing or something, because I was just going there with this huge blanket around my waist. It didn't realize it at the time, but that did look pretty sketchy. And so, but anyway, the chicken was great. But I tell you all this actually for a reason. Lee, I have your hat, by the way. If you see this, I need to see you again soon so I can give it to you. I tell you all this for a reason, kind of like what we were talking about on Wednesday night. If you're still watching, God bless you, because I probably would have stopped watching by now. But what we were talking about Wednesday night, and the fact that our inside, that we have to shed, we have to shed our skin just as reptiles do and snakes do. We have to shed that outside, that flesh, that corruption, that inside of us, that selfishness that just wants everything for itself. We have to get rid of that. And when we struggle with addictions and we struggle with sin and we struggle with different things, it's kind of like ripping the pants. And so many times we struggle with these things and we want to just, okay, we rip the pants. Maybe that means that we mess up. We mess up in whatever. We all have areas of struggles. Maybe we mess up pretty big in this area that we have struggles in. And you know what? We're frustrated, we're ticked about it, and then we try to sew it back together. We try to sew it back together by acting better. We try to sew it back together by apologizing to God. We try to sew it back together, or many times what we do, just like I did, we don't even try to sew it back together. We're too embarrassed. We're too embarrassed to even think about that, so we just cover it up. We just cover it up with lies. We just cover it up saying, "Yeah, I'm fine." "Oh, how are you doing, Travis?" "Yeah, I'm all right. I'm fine." "How are you?" And then we can quickly turn it to the other person so that we can hide, so that we can push it under the rug, so that we can cover it up, so that we don't have to deal with it. And I just want to encourage you guys that God, Pastor Mark's been talking about it, but God is not a God of repair, but is a God of restoration. First off, if you're covering things up like that, maybe because you feel condemnation or you feel terrible about yourself, or you would think, what if my friends knew, or what if Travis knew, or whatever, my parents. Guys, don't cover it up, because covering it up, that means that we're focused on that sin. We're focused on maybe how good it feels or how fun it is, or we're focused on how terrible we feel for it, and we're not focused on the Lord. What the Lord says, don't uncover those sins. Uncover those insecurities. Show it to me. I'm here for you. I'm your comfort. And so we can uncover that ourselves. And you know what? When we show ourselves, when we are just basically straight up with God and say, "God, I need you. God, I'm struggling. God, I need this right now. I need you in my life." When we do that, He's not going to sew it up as we would like to do, but He's going to give us a complete new pair of jeans. He's into restoration, not repair. 2 Corinthians 5, as we all know, says, "You're a new creation. All things have gone away. All things have become new." Think about that. He's not saying, "I'm going to fix you." He's not saying, "I'm going to patch it up," or "I'm going to sew it up." There's been times in my life where buttons fell off my pants or whatever growing up, and my mom would sew it, but it's not the same as new. The 2 Corinthians 5, and I love this out of the Message, it says, "Because of this decision, we don't evaluate people by what they have or how they look. We looked at the Messiah that way and once and got it all wrong, as you know. We certainly don't look at Jesus that way anymore. Now we look inside. And what we see is that anyone united with the Messiah, anyone that is united with Christ like we are, gets a fresh start, is created new. The old life is gone, a new life flourishes. Look at it. All this comes from the God who settled the relationship between us and him. So guys, if you're struggling with different things today, if you're struggling with decisions, if you're struggling with addictions, guys, don't just settle. Don't just settle for covering it up. Don't just settle that your whole life is going to be this way. If you're struggling with depression, don't settle that you're always going to be depressed, because that's what the enemy is telling you. God is not telling you that. 1 Peter 2, 1, 2 through 5, like we talked about Wednesday. Listen, everything that goes into a life of pleasing God has been miraculously given to us by getting to know personally and intimately the one who invited us to God. The best invitation we ever received. We were also given absolutely terrific promises to pass on to you. Your tickets to participation in the life of God after you turn back on a world corrupted by lust. Everything, guys, everything that you need in life has been given to you. How do we get it? We get it by getting to know personally and intimately the one who invited us to God, which is Jesus Christ. Guys, just be with him. And I know everything seems to tie back up to the same thing, but be with him. Spend legitimate time with him. And I may start posting these videos more and post them things that the Lord has been showing me, but I want to encourage you to do the same. When you study something and God shows you something, or you read something really cool, post it on the Harbor page. Because what God's showing you, I guarantee you that somebody else will benefit from that. Somebody else will be encouraged from that. Somebody else will grow from that, and we can just become closer and closer together as a family. And so I encourage you guys to do these things. I love what Pastor Mark said a couple weeks ago. He said that don't let your past determine your future. So many times we do that. So many times mistakes that I've made in the past make me gun shy. So many times mistakes I've made in the past, I'm covering them up, and so I can't live truly. It's like what we talked about on Wednesday night. We all struggle with it at times, but double lives, 2 lives equals no life. But so many times I try to hide things up, and I try to hide struggles and stuff, and then that completely affects my future. That completely affects my state of mind, my happiness, my level of peace, my level of being able to reach you guys, But don't let your past determine your future. Let Christ's past determine your future. Let the Lord's past determine your future. And you know what his past is. His past is of victory. His past is of suffering for you so that you didn't have to suffer in that way. His past is of becoming sickness so that you didn't have to become sick. His past was becoming addiction so that you did not have to be tortured by addictions. His past was becoming depression so that you didn't have to be. Guys, just focus in on that. I'm just so passionate for it. Like I said last week, if I could just put y'all in a corner and make you study and make you have intimate times with God, I wish I could do that sometimes. Obviously, that's not how it works. It is an amazing, amazing thing. I need to grow in it. We all need to grow in it. Just step up, guys, and just spend time with him as a best friend. Don't spend time with him because you want something. Just hang out with God. Hang out with God like he's your best friend. Because I love you. I will see you tomorrow night. Come to you and come ready, come fired up, come expectant. Love you guys. Talk to you later.